So, Silksong finally released, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm absolutely loving it. I mean, I played a lot of Hollow Knight back in the day when it came out, so this is just kind of a natural evolution, and I think it's great. That said, the reception of Silksong's release has been mixed, to say the least, and a lot of players, and I mean a lot, are running into problems with the game's difficulty.
Bruh.
Like, so much so that Silksong doubled Hollow Knight's lifetime negative reviews in 6 days. Silksong has racked up over 32,000 negative reviews on Steam, which is more than double the original of what Hollow Knight had in 8 years. As if this wasn't bad enough, Hollow Knight, the game that has been out for 8 years, has also reached a new record for negative reviews this month on Steam. Needless to say, a lot of players are having trouble with both these games. But here's the thing I think most people don't really understand about Silksong, and even Hollow Knight in this case. These games have always been designed to be challenging games. They're supposed to test you. These games are supposed to push you to die, learn, and try again until you nail the boss's moveset and attacks, and until you master that encounter. That's where the sense of accomplishment from the games comes from. And that's the biggest thing I personally think is stemming from the difficulty concerns, is in this day and age, lots of gamers don't want to earn that sense of accomplishment. It's all about instant gratification. You can hop into a game and everything's there. You can do whatever you want. They don't emphasize working towards these accomplishments. So I'll be blunt. If you think Silksong is too hard, you're unfortunately wrong. You're just not trying hard enough. So I'm going to break down the main difficulty gripes that people are having with the game and kind of explain to you guys why they're not as unfair as they may seem. So the biggest and main point is the double damage debate. A lot of common enemies can hit you for multiple masks of damage, like in this case.
Alright, here we are. Oh shit, here we go. Oh no, see, that's double damage, baby.
Whereas in Hollow Knight, most of the hits only dealt one mask of damage, barring some elite enemies and bosses in kind of the mid to late game. And yeah, it feels rough because these high damage enemies show up way earlier in Silksong and lead to kind of confusion for new players, making them think they might be missing a tool or a skill to deal with them, or they've wandered into an area that they're not meant to be in. And I think a lot of that confusion muddles the early game for a lot of people and kind of discourages them from going on. Looking at you, Hunter's March. God, this place sucked. But there are, as I'm going to talk about, lots of ways to deal with these enemies regardless. And no, you're not in the wrong area. You just need to be doing specific things to take care of these specific enemies. But here's the catch. Not every attack deals double damage. Most projectiles still only do one mask of damage. And if you pay attention, a lot of these big damage attacks are telegraphed. With proper spacing, dodging, and timing, you can avoid them pretty consistently. Plus, let's be honest, Hornet isn't the knight. She's faster, more agile, and her toolkit gives you way more options to escape danger. You get 3 major tools in Act 1 that pretty much allow you to dodge any sort of attack if you know how to use them correctly, and that's, the Swift Step, the Cling Grip, and Hornet's Drifter's Cloak. And you can attack into enemies' swings, negating the damage, so there's plenty of options to avoid these big damage attacks. Even her healing is more forgiving, since she can heal mid-air and faster than the knight ever could. Not only can Hornet heal faster than the knight, she heals for 3 masks of damage back, while the knight actually has to sit there and manually heal himself for each mask. Like, she's able to move and dash out of the way and jump in the air and heal mid-air. That's much different than the knight's stand still and pray healing system from the first game, where you had to sit there and just kind of hold still to heal, and it's a lot more dangerous than what Hornet has. There's also some tools that actually help you with the healing system, like Multi-Binder, which you can get in Bellheart, that extends your healing duration. and increases its overall effect. So you get stronger heals. It just takes a little bit longer. And then there's also the other side of the coin here with the warding bell. It actually shields Hornet while binding. And on top of all that, there's the mask shards. So you can collect the mask shards in the game, and once you've completed a mask, which is 4 shards, you get an entire new health mask. And you can have something like 10 of them max, because there's 20 shards in the game, so there's that as well. Again, there's plenty of options to deal with the double damage, and honestly, I think people just need to start using the tools available to them to deal with it. It's really not that difficult to deal with. On top of that, Silksong's Silk Economy is way more generous than the Hollow Knight's Soul system ever was. Silk builds much faster than Soul does, and there's even charms to boost it further. I mean, just to name a few, there's the Druid's Eye, which you can get really early in the game, which basically gives you more silk as you take damage. Weave Light, which increases the speed of silk regeneration. And of course, there's things like the Spool Fragments that allow storing more silk beyond its default limit. So not only can you increase your silk regeneration, you can also literally carry more of it as you get these fragments. In addition to this, there's also the crests, which allow you to pretty much change Hornet's movesets and customize your kind of loadout. Because of this, you can pick crests like the Reaper crest that actually also increase your silk regeneration rate at a cost of slower hits. And of course, you can use the upgrade charms to upgrade these crests and allow for even more charm usage. So you can use more charms that do specific things. So again, if you need even more silk regeneration, you can put the charms on for that. Or if you need more damage, you can put the charms on for that. Or if you need more health related charms, you can put more of those on, right? It's completely customizable depending on the crest. You're encouraged to consistently use your skills, tools, and healing instead of hoarding resources as well. You have your shard cap for the tools to kind of encourage you to use the tools. And then you also have your silk skills, which do crazy damage right off the bat. This is also where I think a lot of people are sleeping on the game. Hornet's silk skills are ridiculously strong. Even early on, the spear skill does huge damage. You can clear ads with that, you can take out bosses with that, and again, with the increased silk rate, it comes back much faster than most people realize. Gotcha, bitch! And thanks to the silk regen, you can use it much more often than Hollow Knight's spells. Then you've got tools like the throwing knives, the saw blades, or even long pin. These are all crazy useful tools that fill in different niches for Hornet. Again, the shards are easy to farm, and the game practically hands you 2 powerful tools early on, right? You get your throwing knives for free, and you can buy Sting Shard from the blacksmith in the Deep Docks to utilize on your travels. And you should, considering these tools have a shard cap, which encourages you to use them instead of sitting on them. Needless to say, I don't believe lots of people are utilizing Hornet's tools and her silk skills nearly as much as they should be. And they have this kind of idea that they need to save it for dire situations, which is honestly wrong. You should be using all the tools to your advantage. Hornet is supposed to be quick, agile. You're supposed to read the attacks of the enemies, take advantage of when you can attack, and use all the tools available to you to do so in that time frame. Another problem that I'm seeing a lot of people complain about is runbacks and boss design. Another common gripe when it comes to Silksong is the runbacks from benches to where you've died and the boss design. If you've ever played Hollow Knight, you know that the runbacks can be annoying. It's part of the game though. It's not like it's difficult, it's just time consuming. The runbacks can be rough, but they're supposed to add weight to your death. Like you really have to try to do all you can to not die. If you knew you could respawn outside the boss door every time, you'd lose a lot of the tension when it comes to fighting these bosses. That said, I still understand that the runback can be annoying, but Team Cherry understands that as well. Silksong gives you plenty of different Dark Souls styled shortcuts that make getting to different locations and getting back to your boss arena, your death position, much easier. You can cut down the weighted chains to jump up on things. You have elevators, fast travel options like the bellways, levers, movement upgrades like the sprint and dash, and the benches. How could I have forgotten about the benches? Farloom is like Grand Central Station for benches. Personally, I've never found the runbacks that unbearable. Like I said, they can be time consuming, but they're not that difficult. The only place that I believe this is actually a problem is when you're in the platform heavy kind of areas. Like for instance, the Shellwoods flower section. Like if you die up there, that can be annoying to get to, and it's likely you're gonna die trying to get back to your cocoon. Or like if you're talking about Hollow Knight, its infamous Path of Pain can be a pain in the ass for that type of stuff too. But these are hyper-specific locations, and as a general rule, Team Cherry gives you plenty of options to get back to where you died or where you need to be pretty fast if you think about it. Like you can get around the map very easy. You just need to unlock those shortcuts and buy the bellways and things like that with beads, which aren't even that expensive. Patience is a part of the test in this game. And as a Hollow Knight and a Dark Souls fan, I think the runbacks are fine. It's just kind of encouraging you to play effectively and understand that you need to try your best to beat the challenges that face you, and you can't just kind of go on autopilot, right? These games demand your attention. Really, just like Hollow Knight, Silksong comes down to 3 major things. That's rhythm, patterns, and patience. At the end of the day, Silksong is built on the same foundations as Hollow Knight. And even Dark Souls, honestly, mainly Dark Souls 1, but still, it's rhythm. Enemies telegraph their attacks. And if you're patient enough to read the patterns instead of rushing in, you take less damage and you win more fights. This goes for normal enemies and even bosses. If you can sit there and read a boss's attack, you can understand it, and honestly, you can trivialize it if you just understand the attacks and when and where to attack. Like with Sister Splinter, right? Like, I died the first few times fighting her until I started learning her moveset. When she does her claw pounce attack, I used to try to jump and attack her opposite side of where her hand was to get the damage in. But I realized that when I jumped, her attack would come down so fast that when I was in the middle of the air, I couldn't get out of the way, even with a dash. So I stopped attacking her during the punches. The key was kind of to attack her in between the punches, and also understand that when she shoots down her vines, you can attack those vines and break them, giving you more space to get out of her punch pounce attack, right? The last thing that you're supposed to do in that arena, and what gets most people killed, I think, is the fact that you get pinned in between the vines, and then she does her pounce attack, and you can't get out of the way. You have to be able to know to cut those vines and give yourself space, and then wait for the downtime between the punch attacks to hit her, right? And then when she falls down on the ground, obviously that's your true damage phase. So I can understand why people would find the bosses difficult, but you're not really supposed to beat them in the first couple tries, and you're supposed to learn the movesets and then overcome them, right? Which honestly you can do for pretty much every boss in the game. It's a rhythm. It's repetitive, right? You can't get stuck into it too much. You can't get over aggressive. That's what gets people killed. You have to read the attacks and then understand when and when not to attack, right? So finally, let's talk about the beads. Some players feel like they never have enough beads to buy everything. Benches, shortcuts, charms, tools, upgrades, things like that, which I just mentioned you kind of need to get for shortcuts and stuff. But what people are missing, I think, is that that's actually kind of the point. Unlike Hollow Knight, where you're just drowning in Geo and you could buy whatever you want pretty well at any point, Silksong actually has the beads be scarce, right? But not too scarce. I mean, you can still have the rosary wraps and stuff that you can use and cash out whenever need be. But generally, the beads are more rare than Geo, and that scarcity makes your decisions more meaningful. You actually have to kind of physically debate, do you want more health? Do you want more silk? Stronger tools? You actually have to think about what matters most to you. You should be able to identify your shortcomings, what's getting you killed the most, and then try to prioritize a specific item with your beads that will help alleviate that. It makes purchases feel weighty, which makes the progression feel more rewarding. It's not like it's impossible to get beads, but you're not swimming in them. You have to, you want to keep them safe. You want to go get your cocoon back when you die. You want to keep your beads, and you want to spend them on things that you think can help you. It's not too difficult. It's just part of the game. You have to understand that the beads are important, and you need to use them when available to buy things to help you increase, your effectiveness. And that's what I feel like a lot of people aren't understanding about Silksong in general. I honestly think I kind of have a fringe theory, and this might sound elitist, but whatever. I don't mean it to be. A lot of people probably just got really hype about Silksong, about the memes of it not releasing, and lots of new players were like, "Oh, Silksong," and then they decided to buy it without playing Hollow Knight, so they didn't know exactly what to expect from this game, and that kind of harsh, unforgiving gameplay style is really throwing them for a loop, right? Whereas if you're coming from Hollow Knight, I'd wager to guess that you're enjoying Silksong because it's pretty much more of the same, with a little bit more refining and a lot more tools and skills to deal with it. But fundamentally, the rhythm-based system and the attacks are the same as Hollow Knight, and if you've played the game, you understand that a lot better. Whereas I think there is kind of a disconnect for a lot of new players who don't understand that. So they're either going to learn to realize that the game's not too difficult, but the systems are designed in such a way that you have to play within them to excel, or they're going to get tired of it and quit the game. And if that's the case, whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, that's where I stand on this pretty well. With all that being said, let's read some of these bad reviews. 7 years of development, and nobody on the dev team thought that replacing the downward pogo with a clunky 45-degree dash and making random stuff do 2 masks of damage were bad ideas. Something, Shaw, get good or whatever, joke the community has been repeating for almost a decade. Alright, well dude, first of all, there are crests that you can get in the game that literally change your entire movesets, including your downwards pogo. So sure, if you don't like the 45-degree dash attack, just play a little bit more until you get the Reaper's Crest, which is it's fairly early in the game in Act 1, and it gives you a more classical downward slash. And making random stuff do 2 masks, it's not that big a deal. As I said in this video, there's plenty of tools to alleviate this. You get more silk gain, and Hornet by default gets 3 masks back faster than the Knight ever did in Hollow Knight. So again, neither of these are actually issues if you just take the time to get good at the game. Here's another goofy one. Insert 80 rosaries to get a positive review. It's like, bro, it's not that hard to get rosaries. If you're really strapped on rosaries and you can't find the stashes of them or the beads hanging around, you can literally just farm pilgrims. Like, there's spots in early game in Mossholm where pilgrims spawn right next to a bench. So if you're really that down bad for rosaries, you can just farm them to buy the shortcuts. And honestly, let's be real, buying a bench is something like 40 rosaries on average. It's really not that hard. Same with the bellways, it's like 40 rosaries. I think maybe sometimes it's 80. Really, it's on the cheaper side of things, and it's not that hard to get the beads. Here's another one. It's so unbalanced, and half the time you are running back to the boss because the nearest bench is either too far away or costs a shit ton of money. Again, the runbacks can be annoying, but there's plenty of benches throughout Farloom. A lot of them you need to buy, but still there's plenty of free benches. At most, I'm willing to bet at most it's like a 2-minute, maybe a 2-minute run in real time for you to get back to whatever boss you're complaining about here. It's not that hard, really. And again, the benches are like 40 rosary beads. This is not that big of a problem. And you have 52 hours, so you're obviously pretty far in the game. You wrote this at 18 hours, so I think you figured it out. It's not that hard. The people who give you the 5 clown awards really know what's up. I respect the developers and what they're trying to accomplish, but at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a game people enjoy. After 60 hours of play, it's clear to me that this game feels like it hates the player. I stopped at Act 2. I just can't do it anymore. I'm tired of bosses constantly throwing waves of trash mobs at you. I'm tired of endless runbacks. I'm tired of the lack of meaningful rewards. Okay, so the game is enjoyable. It's got a very positive review on Steam. The negative reviews only make up, like, I think it's just under a third of the total reviews. Lots of people are enjoying the game. You have 60 hours in it, and you feel like it hates you. I mean, again, there's so many tools. Hornet is such a powerful character. You just need to take the time to understand the pacing and when to use the skills you have to take care of the enemies. Maybe you're running through it too fast or something. I don't know. The bosses are tough. Again, it's like Dark Souls. It's usually a repeated effort. You have to try bosses like 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 times to get it done. But it's extremely rewarding when you do get them. The boss or the ads, sure, it can be annoying, but it's also free silk gain by killing these enemies, so you can get back your silk and heal in between the boss phases. So again, it's not that big of a deal. And the runbacks, sure, it's a Metrovania. Hollow Knight had the same thing. Every Metrovania has the same thing. Runbacks are part of the game. It's just part of the game. You either deal with it or you don't, but it's not that hard. Team Cherry knows what they're doing when it comes to game design. It sounds like a you problem, dude. And lastly, we got this one here. I can't pet the Bell Beast. Sad face. This one I agree with. He's got 6 hours, and that was my first thought too. The Bell Beast is pretty much like a big old dog, big bell dog thing. We should be able to pet it. Every game should let you pet the dog. We should be able to pet the Bell Beast. I agree with this one. Yeah, let me know what you think. Does Silksong cross a line into unfairness, or is it just carrying on with Hollow Knight's legacy, being a tough but rewarding game? Let me know in the comments if you agree with what I've said. Let me know if you think I'm wrong and the game is actually too hard. Overall, I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are too, because I think it's a masterpiece. I love these games, and I think they look incredible. They remind me a lot of the old Bone comics. I don't know if you guys know that or know what those are, but the old Bone comics come to mind when I play these games, and I think they're absolutely fascinating. It's awesome. Yeah, anyways, let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like and subscribe, and feel free to check out my other videos if you want. Thanks, and I'll see you later. Bye.